Hey everybody, what's up, man? Another one of Truth Be Told. I'm your co-host, Aseer the Duke of Tears, along with
Hi.
my primary host, Celina
Hi, everyone.
Cordoba L.
It is so blazing and hot, but I'm so thankful to be here today. I think we both are. Aseer's not used to the sun directly in his eyes. I'm getting more used to it. So I actually don't even want to wear my sunglasses, but who knows, we might. We are about to take Amour to a little after school. He's upstairs with a couple friends doing some work and playing on his videos. And we decided to take a moment. Funny enough, the lady that dropped her son off was like, oh my gosh, he looks so gorgeous. And I never really showcase moments like this, and neither him. So here we are today on a beautiful sunny day. And you know, it's been a great journey the last couple months. Just personally, just really doing a lot more creatively for myself in terms of certain things that I've wanted to see manifest. And that's about it. Today we wanted to talk about a couple topics that actually were written down. I wrote them down. I remember them, even though I wrote them down. A lot of cool hype. The one that you actually talked about this morning was the Jesse Jackson thing. There was some Jesse Jackson posts.
Yeah,
We just have to maybe talk up a little because I
a
don't.
guy from one of these pundits from one of these shows. I forget, CNN, not CNN. One of them, I think it's CNN. I don't know. One of these guys. And it was this whole diatribe about the term African American and it being a noun and where it comes from and how everybody thought it was coined by Jesse Jackson. But what they call historical researchers traced it back to some obscure journal that so-called African American man wrote about the capture at Cornwallis. For those people that don't know what Cornwallis is, the capitulation of Cornwallis is when the guy that came over here in the War of 1812, Cornwallis, was actually so-called defeated and then set up what they call the United States. Long story short, all of that was said to say that the term African American, they've now traced it back to 1782. So what somebody like, when I saw that, somebody like me who know better says like, okay, so you could find the term African American in 1782, but you can't find what the African Americans was actually calling themselves in 1782. And
Meaning like their nationality.
meaning
right?
what their nationality is, and the fact that none of them was from Africa. They wasn't from Africa like that. But when we say Africa, again, when I say Africa, I'm talking about anything west of Mali, North, Central, and South America, i.e. Northern Africa. That's the geographic, where we say Hoyle's coined definition of the term. So I'm just finding funny, again, that they can
Different parts,
they
right?
can find all of these obscure
But that's how
words to
the
describe
world is, you know?
what we are when that's not even what we was calling ourselves. And even if there was two so-called African American people who allegedly wrote this book and then posted this thing in 1782, you mean to tell me that because these two people call themselves that everybody that was so-called black that was in this country at that time was that, identify with that? Come on, man.
But this is, you know, this is how life is. If we were to take that little piece of a puzzle and expand it, you know, people talk and highlight certain phrases and certain terms that are comfortable for them to associate themselves with. And that's the freedom of thought. That's the freedom of where we live now. It's just what is. I find it interesting that I might just turn everything off and start again because it was lower. It was silent, and then this came. But this is life, you know? Trying to capture a silent moment because it's always quiet here, and now it's not. So I'm gonna probably turn it off and turn it back on just because I know people are always like, I can't hear. And we'll come back in a couple minutes. Or maybe we won't. There it goes. Okay. This is what it is. Basically, that's just what I was trying to think of in terms of how everything is in life. You know, people highlight certain things that are comfortable for them to identify with. That's camera A. Camera B is, I think that's why it's very important. The work that Aseer does, he's very much into history, and he's very much into connecting certain dots historically. I don't know how loud that's going to be. So
Just talk.
he's saying to talk over it. Anyway, basically, there was a couple other things that I wanted to just touch base on this afternoon. I was looking at a post that was recently shared. I can't because I'm aware of what it might sound like. Okay, no. We might. Okay, I'm trying. Patience. Tia and Tamara Mowry, I think that's their names, the twins. Basically, they were just talking about interracial dating and interracial marriage and what her experience has been in marrying a so-called white man, and just all the flack that she gets. And one thing that I did want to say and touch base on, because we somewhat talk about things in our home, but you know, Aseer and I, we're two different people. We think differently. We come to different conclusions about stuff, and that's the greatness about where we live. Everyone has the freedom to think what they want to think now. And one thing that I did want to highlight on was, you know, case sensitivity. There really isn't any of that anymore. I was talking to a good friend of mine the other day about that, and just it really made me think about what I want to personally take into the afterlife, even if you don't think about these types of things, or what you want to carry in the here and the now. For me personally, it is interesting when you do meet different couples that are, or think that they're opposite race, you know, a black woman and a white man, and vice versa, just what that attracts here in this society. I do find it very interesting that unfortunately not everything is case sensitive. What I meant by that is no one really knows how these two people met, and if they did fall in love for love's purposes or just, you know, what they claim to love to be. And that's the beauty about, you know, attracting what you feel you're attracted to. One thing that I do find interesting in terms of pattern behavior is that Aseer is correct. You know, he said to me this morning, you know, well, why is it that most black women with white men, you know, they fade out? They don't have other friends that are just black
that aren't in that situation.
And like attracts like, you know, I think that sometimes people feel judged because of whatever reasons. Personally, I have noticed that. That is something that is very much there. That is a pattern that's there. But I won't say and write off all black women with white men being that of self-hate and being that are...
Why not?
Because not everything is that absolute in life, at least for me. In terms of knowing the backstory and or just being in a space of not even judgment, but of writing someone off based on what we see and what we think we perceive. But there is something called pattern behavior, and I do have to check that box and say what's interesting is that a lot of women that I've met that are black or sisters of my color that are with white men very much don't really feel, I can sense that they're uncomfortable being around couples that aren't the same, that aren't mismatched like that, or interracial. So, you know, it's very interesting because I would love to meet a black woman that's with a white man that has black women friends with, you know, married or with other men of the same race. What I find interesting is that they usually do fade out and kind of, you know, have that lifestyle that purports...
Just say what it is. They choose to be on the white man side of the relationship that they have now thrown themselves into, and in that they isolate themselves from their general so-called black community that they came up from. That's what they do.
That's
like,
very true. It's very true, but not everything is absolute, right?
Again, man, when we say absolute, how is the truth not absolute? If it's the truth, it's the truth regardless. You could choose to ignore it. You could choose to say, oh, well, my truth is this. That's whatever you choose to do. What I'm talking about is what I have seen on this planet in my journey for the past 43 years. And what I have seen is the exact what I'm saying, which is when people choose to basically go outside their race, whatever, especially if they're melanated, they choose to basically engross themselves into that because there's a thing within black people.
It's very true.
Keep it real. There's a thing with black people. When you get with white people, you doing it to get your money right, to get your credit straight, to get whatever it is. And it's whack, and it's base, and it's not true, and it's materialistic. But guess what? That's why a lot of these people are doing that. You understand? You have
He
people.
did say that to me the other day. He was like, Celina, don't even try to turn a blind eye to the fact that all these yoga women that are in the
All
upper
of them?
echelons of the yogic society, because, you know, I love yoga, whatever. In the upper echelons of the yogic society, he's like, you don't notice that? I noticed that years ago, but I can't always focus as a sister of color. I can't always focus on what is being screamed at me because I wouldn't really even be I wouldn't be a happy person. I wouldn't be as in my skin that I feel that I'm in. Because of course, being my color, I felt a lot of times like, wow, people are really, really kind of loving and open to me until they see me with a brother, a black man. Then it's like the whole yogic
And
society
you got your own hair.
kind of shut down. And, but there was a time that I did rock a perm. A nice little, blowout and all of that. But, when I turned like 20, it was like, okay.
You got knowledge of yourself.
I've always had knowledge of myself.
Yeah, but you had knowledge of yourself
enough
to put it into action.
Yes.
Okay.
Meaning that I did cut my hair and I wanted to take the perm out and just grow my natural. And honestly, some people write me off with locks. That's just the ignorance of the society that we live in right now. Some people just see locks as dirty, as base, even though I wash my hair every other day, and literally I do out here in the sun. And people are ignorant. They would love, there's so many times, 8 times out of 10 that I could definitely say I have been looked at, turned down, kind of, brushed off because I am this color. And I do feel that's the case because I've been sitting right next to someone who might be phenotypically white, blonde hair, blue eyes, without a college degree, without as much experience as I, but they get let in a little quicker. They get the job a little bit with more ease. And I've had to be like, you know what? That's this realm. This is where I'm living. So what can I do to A, not feel personally attacked all the time, and to B, rise above the general set conditions that are always thrown at sisters my color. It's there. I can't say that it's not. But I can't and I will not focus on that which only screams, hey, look at me. Hey, look at me. Give me attention. Don't you hate yourself? Cut your hair. Cut your hair. Be with a white boy. Get your money. Get your money. Get a job. Because that's the mantra.
Look at that. Look at the whole thing that happened with the Emmys, with Viola Davis going through this whole diatribe about black women and how it's so hard to do all this other stuff. All of the black women on TV I see winning, they all doing the same thing. They either acting like they gay, they either in jail, putting tampons and stuff in their head,
Very
or
true.
they on some scandal, they got some type of white man interest, love interest or whatever. That's just what it is. So
really
what
is
that
true.
says to the generation is this: if I am not with my
If
own
I'm not with the
archetype,
agenda.
I will move up. If I stay within my archetype, I'm not gonna do that. But nobody else in the world do that to themselves but original people. And it's
it
a problem.
always is white, and that's why
And it's a problem,
It's
man.
even interesting when there's a lot of like little cult societies of Japanese women with black men and Chinese with to the
Don't
point
even
that
hear
there's
about
like to the point that there's like YouTube pages of like different interracial. But I don't really consider Japanese people and Asian people white.
If you
but it's
not-
still, go ahead, you're right.
If
Go ahead.
you're
Go
not
ahead.
Caucasian, then you're not white. But this is what I mean about white
He's
supremacy
right. He's
and how it
absolutely
works.
right. There's
You
a
don't-
lot of
It's
truth.
on autopilot now. You don't gotta be a white man to practice white supremacy. Are you crazy? Most of the people I know practice white supremacy is black people. It's everybody else. It's not
But
even.
so we're saying that also, just to think it, because there's people that might not even know this. So you're saying that white supremacy is a way of thinking, not just
I'm saying white supremacy
Something that's-
between the year of 1493 to 1791 was
down,
about
bust it down. Bust it
bleaching
down.
out bloodlines of royal noble families all over the world that
I
were
understand.
darkly melanated.
Very true.
So that means then that was the first phase of white supremacy. We're going to put these lighter skinned people on top. And it just so happens that out of all of these light ones, the so-called Caucasoid was the one that was willing to really internalize it. And so he
Very
did.
true.
So from 1791 now to 1865, now that's cemented this whole next level of white supremacy,
Very
where
true.
we're getting not only the people to hate themselves that's not white, we're also getting them to now phenotypically in their mind in their soul want to produce a child that do not look like them.
Very true.
Then from what, 1865 to 1965, you don't went through the fact that now the white supremacy is being held up by everybody that's not Caucasian. That means now the Caucasian people are officially now a minority on the planet, but they're able to subsist and get other people to be themselves, co-sign it, by creating a system of perpetual debt by which people now killing themselves to uphold, so that way they could get this fake fiat that the white man know is not even real. He even know that the money that they killing themselves for is not real.
But you know what? When there's like, and you're absolutely right, check, but when there's 98, 99% of the people that agree upon a consorted lie, that lie then ends up becoming the general truth.
That's true. That's what Napoleon said.
Which is horrific. But if I were to say, like, let's say, you get that theory. 85% of the people in the world say, hey, the sky is turquoise. Now, if I come across and say, well, it's actually cobalt blue, 85% of the people have agreed that it's turquoise already.
Or you brutalize a whole generation of people that knew that the sky was blue. Then you kill off all of their ancestors so they can remind them of that. Then you burn all of the books that had the sky was blue. Then you crucify all of the teachers that used to tell you the sky was blue.
Do you see why history is so important, though?
Then you set up a fictitious system by which people think that they're in their country, but they're really not. This is how America works. Not America, the United States.
The United States. I'm sorry, you're right, because America is separate from the corporation.
Yeah, man.
But you know, this is also a time where it's like, okay, so what? So what? You know all this knowledge stuff. What's your money like? You have a house? You have a car?
Yeah.
Can you live? Can you live?
I could do all of that without debt and without having to cut my black so-called brother or so-called black sister throat to get it, because there's a way for you to get it properly, but you can't get it if you listing yourself as a color. If you are a so-called black man and she's a so-called white woman, and you get together and vice versa, and you believe that you are black and she believes that she is white, then that means you're perpetuating the same self-slavery, which means that when you say shit like, oh, well, I don't even see race, I don't see color, you're a liar. You're a liar, because you already said that, oh, well, I don't care that she's black. When you got with this person, oh, I don't care she's white.
When you got with this person, color was not there, which is very interesting. But how about this? How about I don't even care anymore. How about I'm not even really invested in who people are in love with. I'm just invested in...
I'm talking about the agenda, though.
Absolutely.
We're talking about the agenda
and
to keep black people and so-called black people and black men and black women separate. That's what it is, man. Wake up. They don't want you to procreate together, because this is about...
Absolutely.
Let me tell you this, man. People... And also, when we talking this, don't feel like I'm upset or I'm mad or I'm hating. Like, I am not mad at this white man for doing what he do, because that's what he gotta do.
But this is the voice of the black man. I'm not even thinking. I'm just saying this. You know how people try to translate the message and just listen.
That's what they do with black people. That's what they always doing with black people. You always going through tone and going through emotion and shit. But the white man, nobody looking at his tone.
He can be passionate all day.
Exactly.
All day. Be like, fuck this, fuck that. And be like, wow, he's feeling something.
Right.
But as soon as I do that, well, you know what? She got issues, and see, this why I'd rather be with. And I feel you. I feel you.
You don't never hear no white people.
But that's not fair.
But
this is the thing. We talked about things not being fair, right? And for me personally, I would love to walk down the street, see a white man with a black woman, and that black woman not feel a way about me saying, wow, you know, hey, good afternoon. Or, hey, whatever. It's almost as though they don't believe that I'm trying to give love to them. Because I'm in my natural archetype.
They always look like they're doing something
we talked about it even this morning. I've had great friends in college, Caucasian, wonderful men, all of that. Good friends of mine. And I remember talking to this one white boy, and I don't even like using that term, but that's what he is considered.
We're talking about W-I-G-H-T. We're not talking about W-H-I-T-E, color. We're talking about the status of what these people really are.
But he had blonde hair and blue eyes, and I remember I went to a wedding with him, and he was like, yo, why couldn't we be together? I'm like, I love you, you know, you're a great person to me. I don't see color like that. If someone's being good and authentic to me, I really do try to rise above, right? But at the same token, I'm aware of the world that I live in. And personally, like I was watching Tia Tamari, you know, today, I said to myself, I personally would never put myself in that position to procreate and take it a step further. Why? Because the world that we are living in is not that loving. And to see what she's going through and the things that she's experiencing, you have to have a tough skin, right?
How about this?
Hold on, let me finish my thought. A tough skin to not only sit in love and in proper status with that, but to not always be on the defense and not always to have to explain yourself. Personally, I always wanted to see my reflection in my child. And if you're talking to someone, it's like someone that, like at the post office the other day, the lady that gave me all that attitude, but she's sitting there, a black woman, with fake eyelashes, fake hair, and I kept it real with her because she was so nasty to me. And she was like, "Oh, well, read the sign." I said, "No, I'm asking you a question. But if you want to be robotic, it's cool. What it is at the end of the day, love," and for some reason, I don't know, I turned 38, shit just got turned on in my life. I said, "What it is, love, is you're not even looking at me with your own lashes. You don't have your own hair. So why would you be able to give me any type of love? Because when you see me, you are reminded of how much you hate yourself." That's just what it is. Are you not right?
You're absolutely right.
Okay, I just wanted you to not jump right back.
Right.
Sometimes it's nice to coalesce and then move on.
Right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely
But this is something that I noticed. Like a lot of women that don't have their own hair don't want to hang out with women that do.
Nah, they don't.
And the same thing, a lot of black women that are with men that are considered white don't want to hang out with black women unless that black woman they know has already been with the white boy, even if she's married to a brother.
Right.
If she knows her past and knows that she's gotten down like that with white boys, then it's like it's okay.
Right.
It's like, all right, it's cool because I know that you know that and he is right. I have seen a lot of yoga teachers that are of, melanated, melanated, that have like, I don't buy my Instagram likes. I'm not popping like that in that world if we were to talk about numbers or whatever. But I'm more into respect and actually, really meeting people and exchanging true energy. So hopefully if those numbers do rise, it's something that's real, it's something that's authentic. But it's like the other day, what were you gonna say?
What I was gonna say was a lot of black people, so-called black people, don't even know why they have this need to want to have straight hair and where that really come from. Where that really come from is something that happened amongst the original people that existed here prior to the European invasion. And what it was there was a group of people, specifically in the eastern coast of so-called North Central South Africa, what we today call Mexico, what they also call America. And there was a group of people called a tribe called the Yamasee, and there was another tribe called the Northern Creek. And the Yamasees, because they had descended from the original Maya Inca Olmecs down in La Venta and Palenque and Chichen Itza and places like that, they had a trade route set up by which the Olmecs would move up, and once they moved up, they kind of stayed in the places that we now today call the northeast coast. So Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, a lot of that was Yamasee, Catawba, Delaware, and all that territory. Long story short, there was a group called the Northern Creek, and the Northern Creek went to war with the Yamasee, and they were helped by the Southern Cree. The Southern Cree and the Yamasee, they had a certain phenotype. So in the Yamasee gene, because they had descended from the Olmecs, they had more of a straighter hairline. Straighter hair.
Into the bush,
and as you went further into the bush places like that, it became kinkier, like where the Northern Creeks was coming from. So you're saying,
I'm not even trying to think, but I'm thinking of time.
I know, I just want to finish what I'm saying. So long story short, after they went to the war and the Yamasee lost, all of the Yamasee women were then bred with the Southern and Northern Creek men. When that happened, that changed the phenotype of the hair strain, because they had a thicker hair grain. So in that now, once the Yamasee and the Northern Creek and the Yamasee people had these babies came out and that hair texture was now lost. And then what happened was they wound up moving them from Georgia and bringing them all the way down to Florida. And they created another nation now called the Seminole. And then the Seminole, then around the time of Santa Anna, were then moved all the way to south of Mexico, aka Mexico, because that was the ancestral land of the Olmec. But they were phenotypically now different than the ancestors they came from, because due to the war, they lost their hair. So it became a thing now between the Massey women, Cherokee women, and all of that to try to get the straight. To try to
I'm
get
not
the
even trying to cut you off. I'm just trying to keep it moving.
Right.
I'm just go ahead. I'm not.
To try to, we can edit that out. To try to.
I'm not gonna edit anything. Go ahead, though, sweetheart.
Okay. To try to maintain the grain of the hair. That's where the obsession for that came in. So once the so-called Caucasoid female came in, and then she was put up as the status quo of what beauty was supposed to be, now everybody went from that now to trying to get their hair like that. So what it says now is in 2016, when they're cutting off the tails of horses, the tails of yaks, little Indian girls, they shaving their heads and bringing them here. All of that is signs of self-hatred and not knowing one's true history.
But this is the same. It's not to say that, you know, I've seen it amongst my own people where black women will come up to me with my son and be like, wow, his hair is so beautiful. And, you know, it's not something that you think of like that when you are, you know, in a space with making a child.
Exactly.
I never was like, oh, well, this is what I want. You know, it's just very interesting that, you know, people do that. I'm gonna come right down and keep on going. Someone's coming inside. But no, you can go inside. And at the end of the day as well, you wanna you can come here, babe. Like, I'm so okay with certain things. We can be right here for a second and then sit back down. What I was also trying to say, they're not even thinking. Sometimes we like shift so much. People are really nice, you know. Not everybody's like, and I don't want to carry that type of energy. It's okay. Let's keep it moving. But give them space to walk in, because we didn't think anybody was going to come this afternoon. So basically, all that's to say that we want to be in a space where we can be aware of where these hiccups come from and where these stagnations, not only within our own families, but within external, you know. I always tell my son, sometimes it's really important to make sure that whatever little girl you're talking to does have their own hair, because if not, they're going to be a little, no problem. If not, they're going to be a little annoyed. They're going to feel a way about your beauty because it's something that you're comfortable in. So everybody that's not in a space of comfort will always bring that to you. Just like right now, it's not a big thing to walk inside, but what I will be aware of is that I might be an obstruction to someone else. And in that, just move over a little bit. It's not anything too big or too not big. But this is also very good, because what I'm trying to show in life is that you have to remain mutable. You have to remain just aware of how your energy affects other things and vice versa. And nothing is that deep in life that no one can not share a porch or share a moment. So this is a very good moment, because not only did we hear the blowers, but now we're just, you know, thinking, I'm going to be finished in 5 minutes just because it's absolutely probably time to wrap up. But this is exactly what it is. Sometimes when you are moving forward, you will attract energy that wants to deter you from that space. And that's okay. You have to remain focused as to what your intent is. And if your intent is backed by love, then you're golden. It's the same thing. I really actually kind of felt a way in watching Tia Mowry, because it's sad. It's sad that people talk like that to one another. It's sad that women can't feel as though they can procreate with who they want to procreate with. We're living in such times now that anybody can be with any type of archetype, and it should be okay. Yes, there is certain aspects of self-hate. Yes, I do want to remind women to love their beautiful brown skin and to not, you know, feel as though they need to skin bleach. But those that want to skin bleach, let them do it. Those that want to put extensions in their baby's hair, let them do it. Those that do want to procreate with the opposite race and maybe escalate the frequency and the chance of their offspring having to go through things, let them do it. At the end of the day, this is a free-for-all. And with that, you have the freedom to ascend to be whatever you want, and also to stay on the low, grimy levels of existence.
When you are not pictured in your own archetype, there's an element of you that looks like a mongrel to other races. That's just how it is. When you see a Jewish person, they could date and do whatever they want. They Jewish mother want them to marry a Jewish person. Same thing with an Indian woman, same thing with anybody else.
Like
and
an
everybody, right. So it's
true.
just as it's cool for you to be able to be with somebody else, it should be just as cool for you to be within your own. You know what I'm
I
saying?
love you guys.
Yeah.
Love
Have
and
a
light. Let these
beautiful
crackers
day.
do what they need to do.
Seeing all of that, I won't even, because to me, they're not even here. You know how like you see something and it's just transient energy? I don't really attract or am invested
attract you
in
to
things
stay
that are
here?
not big.
Look at this chick.
But
You see how
much
rude
love
this
to
chick
you.
is? This is what I mean
Much
with these
love.
people.
No.
People
This
that
is
are
what I
not
mean with them.
ascending, people that are not ascending will always be in a
somebody's
space
house,
of
you
it.
know?
And I live
Look,
here
man.
as well,
Here.
but it does not matter. Much love, much
See?
light to everybody.
Crackers. Always remember a cracker. They'll always be
Much
out
love
here.
and light to you guys. Peace.
Bye.